Species and their different reproductive patterns. Different species have different reproductive patterns. Now, when we say reproduction, it is the process by which new individuals are produced by parents, and the process of reproduction ensures that a plant or an animal species does not disappear from Earth. This process is very essential in maintaining stability in the ecosystem for the continuation of life on Earth. In this part, I will discuss to you about two species, the R selected species and the K selected species. I would also discuss the reproductive pattern of these two species, starting from the R selected species. Now the R selected species, these are the species that has a high capacity or a high rate of population increase. Let's say for example the guppies. Guppies are live bearer fish, which means they give birth to an offspring that already know how to swim, how to look for food, how to defend, and to escape from predators. They could also reach maturity within a month. Another example are bees. Now, queen bee or mother bee will lay eggs to thousands of eggs in batches. Now, this will be taken care by the worker bees from the egg state up until maturity. Now, bees can reach maturity within 7 days or within a week. Another example are bacteria. Now, bacteria are known to thrive in a very harsh conditions or a very harsh environment. They could reproduce asexually and they could reach maturity within a day or within 24 hours. Now, these examples are noticeable for their characteristics of having a short lifespan or reaching maturity in just a short time. Most of them give birth to an offspring with such a very small size, but despite of having small size, they could also give birth to a lot or a number of offspring. These offspring, even though they are little, they need a little or no parental care or protection. They could always thrive and they could always reach maturity with a little to no care from parents. Now, these traits help balance the ecosystem. Even though not all of these offspring could reach maturity, they also help feed predators within the ecosystem. They overcome typically massive losses of offspring by producing so many so that this or some of these offspring may reach maturity and will continue the life cycle. Now, the K selected species, they tend to reproduce later in life and have a small number of offspring with fairly long lifespan. Now, the examples that are given on this are mostly mammals because mammals needs a lot of time to prepare or they need to reach a certain age before they could bear a child or before they could um, produce an offspring. Let's say for example human beings needs to reach a certain point of their life or maturity before they could give birth to an offspring. They need to reach 13 to 15 years before they could bear their first offspring. This is the same scenario for elephants and sharks. Although sharks lay eggs, um, they still need to reach a certain point or a certain age in order to bear an offspring. So, as we can see on the examples, mammals tend to keep their babies or their offspring on their womb to completely develop before they gave birth. So this is where they are safe and are born fairly large when the time comes. Now these traits help balance the ecosystem. The offspring of the K-selected species mature slowly and are cared for and protected by one or both parents. In some cases, just like elephants, they stay in herds or in groups until they reach reproductive age and begin the cycle again. Now, talking about lifespan, Lifespan is the amount of time between the birth and the death of a person, a plant, a creature, or animal. There are three generalized types of survivorship curves. These are late loss, early loss, and constant loss. Late loss means that mortality rate is very low on infant, juvenile, and adult years. Example that could be given on this are mammals because they tend to take care of their offspring when they are infant up until they mature. And when they are mature, they are more to become apex predators or on top of the food chain. So there are few predators that could hinder their lifespan. Now, moving on to the next type, constant loss. This means that mortality is constant through all life stages. Example that could be given are ducks. So, from hatching an egg is already exposed to extreme hazards or extreme risks from getting eaten by predators because eggs are essential on a daily diet for predators, and also be even after hatch the egg hatches, even as a chick could always be eaten by predators for food. And even before even being an adult duck, ducks are also being hunted by predators for food, for meat. Now this is why they belong to the survivorship curve, which is type 2, that experiencing constant loss. Early loss. This means that mortality rate is very high during early life stages, followed by a very low death rate for the individuals reaching adulthood. Now, this is true on some plant species because during their early days or during their juvenile days, they are prone to death, infection, and other factors that could affect their health or that could end their life. But when they reach adulthood, they are almost impossible to destroy or to be killed because they reach adulthood, which are very superior from other organisms or other plants because they tend to grow from a seedling to a big tall tree or a very hardwood tree that is impossible to be killed or be destroyed by any natural causes. Now, even though human beings are considered apex predators, they still has no exception or exemption from nature's population control. Now, what do you mean by population control? These are population crashes that can be caused by sudden adverse events such as outburst of infectious diseases, famine, war, or by long-term trends, for example, sub-replacement fertility, persistently low birth rates, high mortality rates, and continued immigration. Example on the year 1845, the Ireland crash. So this happened when a fungus destroyed its potato crop and other crops, and this caused about 1 million people died from hunger or disease related to malnutrition, and millions more migrated to other countries to escape famine. That's why it sharply reduced the Irish population in that year. Now, the most known plague that happened on the history, which is the Black Death or the plague in Europe and the 14th century. The plague spread through European cities, killing at least 25 million people. The bacterium causing this disease normally lives in rodents. It was then transferred to humans by fleas that fed on infected rodents and bit humans later on. But thankfully, due to urbanization and technological advancements, Even though nature has its own way to control human population, we were able to expand or extend the Earth's carrying capacity for human species. We tend to urbanize jungle or forest lands into residential house or residential housing so that many people could live or could occupy the space, thus posing a threat or a risk to other species. But still, the point is expanding or extending the Earth's capacity for to hold human life. And due to modernization or technological advancements to healthcare, we were able to develop um, certain pills or certain medication to help fight off diseases and other deadly viruses that could pose a threat to human existence. And also, due to the natural process or natural selection, our body or the human genetics has developed certain antibodies that could help protect our well-being from diseases and develop certain skills on how to thrive on such situation that could threaten human life. And thank you very much for listening. This marks the end of my report.